All right, all right, all right. All right. How's everybody doing? Doing, not doing. Yeah. We definitely about to talk about Maga. Trump betraying y'all. That's cause y'all some broke bitches. Y'all some minute broke hoes. Oh, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for fucking with me. Look at my clips. What are you going? Playlist. I should say. Yeah, playlist. That's what it's called. Look at my clips playlist. Thank you for fucking with me. All right. Yeah. You know what I mean? Shout out to All Black, you know. I don't know why this is on there. Let's start off. Let's get to it. Let's react. After underestimating wrath of MAGA trolls. Wow. He's weak. Let's listen to this. Bannon rips into Elon Musk and latest MAGA civil war.
The future is not just going to happen. You have to make it. And if you want...
The H-1B visa program is a total and complete scam concocted by the lords of easy money on Wall Street and the oligarchs in Silicon Valley. The citizens in this country are what provided the platform for you nerds even to exist. We're not going to take the temperature down. We're not going to take the temperature down. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. We do not. It's no backing down. It's doubling down.
Well, now the big question is, how will Steve Bannon respond to Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump has weighed in on this giant debate within the MAGA base in regard to H-1B visas. These are work visas for high-skilled foreign workers that are typically hired by tech companies. Silicon Valley has taken a lot of advantage of that program. And so in speaking with the New York Post, Donald Trump said, I have many H-1B visas on my properties. I have been a believer in H-1B. I have used it many times. It's a great program. Now, to be clear, Trump is confusing the visas that he utilizes in hiring workers for his properties. He's using a different type of visa entirely. I'll explain what that is in just a minute. But the debate right now centers on H-1B visas, which...
Let me tell you what type of visa he talking about. Oh, actually, let me let her explain. She's a woman. Y'all let ladies first. But he's like, I got plenty of those workers on my properties. They handle the grass. They cut the lawns. They weed the weeds, and they water my pools. He ain't no tech company, motherfucker.
Focus on high-skilled workers who are typically hired as engineers or to work in IT in Silicon Valley. These are people who have specialized skills. The types of foreign workers that Donald Trump hires for his properties are typically those who have H-2B and H-2A visas, and those are for, unskilled labor, right? Agricultural workers and low-skilled workers to do, work on Mar-a-Lago and other properties like that. I'll get more specific about that in just a minute. But it's really interesting to see how this is playing out, Cenk, because famously, Donald Trump has been anti-immigrant, but he has always kind of had that caveat of wanting to bring in immigrants who are high skilled and who he feels are going to contribute to American society. And I remember in his first term, he had a conversation with Steve Bannon about it, and Steve Bannon is anti-immigration, period. He's a hardliner. That's what you heard in the compilation clip in the beginning. And so that debate just kind of went away in the first term, but now it's back because Elon Musk has the president-elect's ear, and he has benefited from foreign workers coming in and working at Tesla and things like that. There are problems with the H-1B visa program. I'll get to that in just a minute, but I'm curious what you think about this internal disagreement.
So I think this is absolutely critical, and it has very little to do with the H-1B visas. It has to do with this internal civil war, and whoever wins that, and it might be messy, and it might not be that one side wins definitively for 4 years. It might rock back and forth.
There is a matter civil war going on, and Elon is about to face the brunt of it.
We'll see how it plays out. But that's the major story here. The fact that Steve Bannon and Elon Musk are in an all-out brawl and Trump has to figure out who to side with is an amazing story. And the fact that it's not absolutely clear which one is right, that they might both be right and wrong in different ways is also interesting.
It is.
Because politics used to be so simple, right? The Republicans say this, the Democrats say that. They're both fake. It's good cop, bad cop. And at the end, they give the tax cuts to the rich, right? That's how it works 98% of the time. Now, the talking points are out the window, and there's people fighting on the right and the left against each other, et cetera. So along those lines, but I want to come back to H-1B visas, just give you the context of this particular fight. So that's for engineers but not extraordinary. That's a different visa for like extraordinary people that are actors, singers, et cetera, right? Or athletes. So then you've got the H-2B that is for more blue collar workers, and H-2A, which is just strictly for agriculture workers, right? H-2A is the only one that's unlimited because, keeping it real, Americans are not doing those jobs. And we need those folks to come in and do those jobs. Everybody kind of agrees to that, and at a minimum secretly agrees to that. But the other two are capped, and the question is, do you have a lot of them, some of them, or none of them? So when Trump talks about the H-1B visas, in the past, in the first term, he was definitely against. And now he says, I use them all the time. That's not true. He had about a dozen applications, but then withdrew them. He mainly used the H-2B visa for waiters.
Yeah, let me get to those details, because no, you're wrong actually. He was making a case in favor of H-1B visas, and Bannon disagreed with him in the first term. And then that debate just kind of went away.
Yeah, it's mixed, Anna.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is the coolest innovation of our lifetime. The world's first titanium nonstick pan. It's gonna blow your hair back. The nonstick surface is made with titanium.
Maybe Bannon temporarily persuaded him to be against H-1B visas, but I distinctly remember how Trump was like opening up about like, oh no, but we want the skilled workers to come in.
Yeah, I know what you're remembering. It was literally an interview he did with Steve Bannon, I think on a Sirius satellite radio show. And Steve Bannon said, we don't want these guys coming in from India and China and becoming executives in Silicon Valley. And that's where Trump did the right thing. And he was like, no, what difference does it make? As long as they're rich and they're good at what they do, et cetera, right? But technically, he was against H-1B visas in his first term.
Okay, all right, so let's get to some more specific details here. So look, the skilled worker program that offers the H-1B visas currently has a cap of 65,000 per year, a number that technology companies have pushed to increase. So the tech CEOs want to lift that cap because, let's keep it real, it helps them save on labor costs. This does drive down wages for American workers in this line of work. There's no question about that. Li Fong wrote an excellent piece about very specific companies in Silicon Valley that have really abused this system to the detriment of American workers. So I do think that some who are against the H-1B visas are making a decent point about that. But I also think that we can keep the program while reforming it, because I also think that there might be some instances where we don't have enough American workers for certain specialized jobs, right? It really depends. I do think Americans should be considered first for these jobs, but there is evidence to indicate that that has not been the case, and I'll give you that evidence in a minute. But then you go to the H-2B visas, which are for non-agricultural, unskilled labor. Trump's businesses do benefit from this the most. They're capped at $66,000 per year. And finally, there's the H-2A visas, which are for agricultural workers, and those do not have any caps. So from 2003 to 2017, Trump's companies were approved for more than 1,000 H-2 visas for jobs like cooks, housekeepers, waiters at his properties, including Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, and the Trump National Golf Club in Jupiter, Florida. And then in each instance, the companies have to attest that there's just no American citizen that can perform this job, which I find difficult to believe when it comes to the Mar-a-Lago and the golf club jobs. And then
It's crazy. Trump won't hire Americans. He'll definitely hire some people that can't speak a lick of English. And y'all voted for him. And he won't even hire y'all. Y'all cost too much. There's poor countries in this motherfucker that'll give him the same work, same skill, same level, same quality, and cheaper. And you motherfuckers really think this shit is not rigged. Keep on doing, white girl.
Then there's the agricultural jobs, right? Currently, Trump's winery in Charlottesville, Virginia is seeking 31 foreign vineyard farm workers under the H-2A program, offering them $15.81 per hour. So, hours before Donald Trump said that he is siding with Elon Musk and he's in favor of these visas, Steve Bannon had actually just done his show and he was attacking Elon Musk for wanting to not only protect the program, but also lift the cap. And so to Elon Musk's credit, he's also open to reforming the system for its flaws and abuses. So I want to mention that as well, but Bannon wants none of it. And so this is what he said on his show in response to Elon Musk just hours before Trump weighed in on it.
This is Elon Musk. The reason I'm in America, along with so many critical people who built SpaceX, Tesla, and hundreds of other companies that made America strong, is because of H-1B. Take a big step back and F yourself, all caps, in the face. F yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend. Oh yeah, tough guy? You're going to go to war on the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend. You're a man-child. The H-1B visa program is a total and complete scam concocted by the lords of easy money on Wall Street and the oligarchs in Silicon Valley to both initially to just increase profit margins. But there's a darker element to it today. A contempt of America and American citizens, and we're not going to tolerate it. You need to honor this country, and you need to honor the citizens in this country. The citizens in this country are what provided the platform for you nerds even to exist. Because in the predatory nature, the Darwinian environment of the world as it is, you would have already been crushed and destroyed.
So there are clearly different camps within Donald Trump's base, and you have the hardliners like Steve Bannon. Like, I think that there are good people who are concerned about American jobs, right? I don't think that those people fall in the same category as Steve Bannon, who seems to be more in favor of creating like some sort of ethno-state type of situation. So I don't want the good people who have real legitimate concerns about the H-1B visa program to be lumped in with the Steve Bannons. Then you have the Elon Musks, who I think are more representative of big business in Silicon Valley, and they absolutely have taken advantage of this program to maximize their profits. So for instance, let's focus on Tesla for a second. Tesla is relying quite heavily on these workers. So Tesla has obtained 724 H-1B visas this year alone. And so, yeah, if you're benefiting from it, and if you're able to pay these foreign workers a little less and also take advantage of them working like workhorses, then yeah, you're gonna wanna protect that program and you're gonna wanna lift that cap. But oftentimes this is happening to the detriment of American workers, and that's what I was referring to in regard to Li Fang's reporting. So just to give you a quick example.
Are you looking for a new fence or gate for your home or property? Type in your address and drop the red pin.
Example, Cenk, he writes that Google, Amazon, and Microsoft all rely on a funnel of such workers. Meta is classified as H-1B dependent.
There's barely any USA born and raised people that work at any tech company. Let's be 100% honest with you. And that's why he wants to fucking make the government a skeleton government and put nothing but foreign people in there. And then one day, he's gonna put the wrong foreign person in there, and then oopsie daisy, we're in fucking hell.
Over its unusually high foreign visa workforce. And as layoffs hit Silicon Valley last year, the tech industry ramped up applications to bring in even more foreign personnel. So they're literally laying off American workers and replacing them with the foreign workers. And so that's where some of the resentment is coming from and where some of the concern is coming from. And I don't want to discount that, because it does drive wages down, even for people who went to college, probably put themselves in a tremendous amount of debt, and then are unable to find jobs in Silicon Valley despite the education that they went out and pursued.
Yeah, so this story is so interesting because they're both half right and half wrong, Steve Bannon and Elon Musk. And where those halves fall are going to be determinative. Steve Bannon is against all immigrants, and he even makes it racial. So does Laura Loomer. And in a minute, we're going to agree. I don't know about Anna. I'm going to agree with Laura Loomer.
Disagree.
Okay, all right. So hold on. We're going to show you that video, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. So we don't agree with Laura Loomer and Steve Bannon on their
Rhetoric,
anti-immigrant stance,
racism,
their rhetoric, their racism. Then when they specifically talk about other races and say they don't want them here, it doesn't, I mean, that's like the definition of racism. This is not like, hey, there's something wrong with our institution, so I'm calling everyone in the country a white supremacist. No, they specifically will say we don't want Indians in the country.
Yeah.
That's the definition of racism, okay? So now on the other hand, when they talk about, hey, we need to protect American workers, and sometimes these companies and their corporate executives and the donor class aren't interested in doing the right policy for America. They're interested in doing the right policy for Tesla or SpaceX or their individual companies. They are correct about that. And the fact that they are telling right-wing voters in this battle, remember, watch out for the donor class, watch out for the corporate executives.
True, yeah.
Is really important. So as much as I loathe Bannon and Loomer on those things that I have every right to loathe them on, it is super interesting and important, and yes, I'm gonna say it, positive, that they are saying, watch out for the donor class, watch out for corporate rule. I mean, Steve Bannon the other day said we need to increase corporate taxes dramatically, we need to raise taxes on the rich, and those folks need to help pay for the things that helps the average American. I mean, that is what we've been saying for 20, 25 years, and so I'm not going to do this silly thing that the left has done for a long time. A person has said one bad thing, even if it's like nuclear bad, or a couple of bad things or whatever, that's it. I won't take yes for an answer. I'll just dismiss them out of hand and say there's nothing to do. I'm gonna close my mind and I'm not even gonna think about it, and I'm not gonna do nuance, and I'm not gonna try to do an interesting strategy where we go, you're right on the corporate executives and corporate rule, you're terribly wrong on race, right? And separate out social and economic issues. Now, when you get to Elon Musk, he's right there. What are you guys doing talking about how Indians are this and that or Muslims are bad?
He's offended by the racist rhetoric, and he should be. I mean, some of Laura Loomer's, see, look, I don't know what you are specifically referring to that you agree with Laura Loomer, so I'll wait to watch the video. However, her tweets, some of her tweets were some of the most disgusting tweets I've read on X. And that's saying something, okay?
Yeah, 100%. But so when you go to the H-1B visas, before we go to the tape, a really interesting, thoughtful critique of them.
Yeah, we don't have to just stop. We don't have to stop giving a fuck about everyone's take on race. And quite frankly, Indians they don't give a fuck about no niggas, and niggas don't give a fuck about no Indians. I'm talking about the red dots. But America needs to take care of Americans. If America ain't don't take care of Americans, we need to start putting these big ass corporations out of business. Stop buying, stop everything.
Is from David Sirota, who's a great progressive,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And Sirota talks about, hey, look, they're using these not because they really can't find any engineers in America, just that they don't want to pay the engineers the prices that they would have to pay, the salaries they would have to pay them under normal conditions. So they bring in guys to work at half the rates. And so this is just another form of corruption. And so my guess on H-1B visas is the answer is somewhere in between. That H-1B visas can be used appropriately and can be amazing and wonderful and bring in some top talent from across the world here, which I think is great and strengthens us. Mm-hmm. But we need to be careful that it's not abused by corporations so that it drives our wages lower, including for engineers, right? But nobody's having that nuanced conversation. So at the end of the day, Trump just goes, Elon or Bannon. Oh, Elon's got way more money, Elon. Mm-hmm. And he chose Elon and said H-1B visas are great when that was not his earlier position. And he uses H-2B visas, not H-1B visas. So that is inaccurate. So we got the Laura Loomer media clip.
Yeah,
so let's watch.
What we need to have a conversation about is what is it going to mean for the
This little racist cracker might have ass. She might have ass. No, she did.
future of our country, our national security, and the incoming Trump administration if we have a bunch of technocrats who are also essentially welfare queens because their companies are receiving government subsidies and they want to take over our defense industry. If you have a bunch of tech bros with billions of dollars and direct unfettered access to the vice president and the president of the United States, and then they are also, very cordial with our adversaries, as in China and Iran. We see that Elon Musk is having these meetings off the books with Iranian officials, with Chinese officials. What does that mean for us and the future of our constitutional republic?
Okay, I mean, it bothers me to say it, but almost everything she said there was totally right. So they are getting government subsidies. Elon's companies get enormous government subsidies. They are looking for breaks for their own companies. They do care about making separate deals with China, Iran, and everyone.
Finally, homemade Manjaro makes your pants drop in just 1 week.
Else, because a ton of their money, billions and billions of dollars, are tied up in China. That is their interest, not the American interest. Those are two different things. When she called those corporate executives and the corporations themselves welfare queens, something I've called them for a long time, and people caught feelings over. They are welfare queens. The oil companies take $30 billion in subsidies and rob us blind every single year. What she said about the Pentagon was right. Now, for those of people who think, well, no, Laura Loomer is unacceptable. You can't ever say she's right, even if she says the sky is blue and the grass is green. She has said the worst possible things about Muslims. I'm Muslim, so I get it. I get it. She's terribly wrong on race, right? But at the same time, you have significant
Muslim. When did they make this shit a race? Follows the Christian. There is no Christian race and there is no Muslim race. Islam has 1.6 million adherents, making up over 23% of the world population. You can be from any nationality, race, be Muslim. Why do people say that that shit's so stupid? Trump sides with Elon.
portions of Maga that are now saying corporate rule sucks and I'm tired of taking my taxpayer money and giving it.
Why the fuck did you vote for Trump if you didn't think that he was gonna do this shit?
To these executives and to these companies, and let's make sure we're careful about the donor class, even ones next to Donald Trump. That is an excellent development, excellent. They are thinking for themselves. They're looking out for corruption even among Trump's donors. So even if I disagree with them on the H-1B visa, the fact that this rebellion is happening and the civil war is happening is wonderful news. Not because, it's gonna destroy the Republican Party, which is what Rachel Maddow is gonna say, right? But because it's actually showing you that they're thinking for themselves, and we might be able to have the most untraditional alliances you have ever seen to actually fight against corporate rule.
Issue by issue.
Issue by issue.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I agree. In that clip, what she said was correct. And I will also commend them for engaging in a debate on the substance of this program, right? I think it's important to find solutions. I don't want to get rid of the H-1B visa program, but I do think it needs to be reformed because there is evidence that it's being abused to the detriment of American workers. And I think it's important to protect American workers, especially when they've done what they're supposed to do. They went to school, they took out the student loan debt, and now they're unable to find a job in Silicon Valley because foreign workers are being brought in to maximize profit.
We took our brand new software company ListKit, sent 10,000 cold emails per day, and hit 100.
A major rift has occurred in the MAGA movement that started and really blew up on Christmas Day of all times. Now, I've been kind of unplugged over the holiday and wasn't planning on doing any new current event videos until the new year. I have a couple videos that I did in the can just to release so I can relax and unplug and just reflect over the last year and work on the outline for my new book and get recharged for the coming MAGA 2.0 administration. But this is such an important issue. I feel that we need to get out ahead of it before the neocon talking points start brainwashing average, ordinary Americans into believing this nonsense. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are spearheading the movement to expand the H-1B visa program, which would grant like 100,000 work visas to foreign workers, many, if not most of them, from India to benefit the tech industry. And they're being touted and have been touted for years since George W. Bush, or George H.W. Bush, rather, in the 90s, signed it into law as highly skilled workers that we need to keep America leading in the tech industry. And in order to silence criticism of this loophole of importing what are really just mostly average, ordinary workers to replace American citizens because the foreigners will accept double the working hours for lower pay, Elon Musk is censoring critics of the plan and even suspending them and removing their verification badge. And in the case of Laura Loomer, canceling her ability to have paid subscribers so that she can no longer earn revenue through Twitter through paid memberships. Vivek posted this rather long and lengthy critique of American culture, bragging that the Indians, his people back home, are better than native-born Americans because our culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for far too long, he says, at least since the 90s, and likely longer. Saying that a culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympian champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. He then starts trashing American pop culture, saying that a culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World or Zach and Slater over Screech in Saved by the Bell or Stefan over Steve Urkel in Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. Somebody better refresh Vivek's memory because there was a famous episode when the kids took the SATs in Saved by the Bell, and it turns out that Zach Morris was actually the genius, scoring 1502 when Screech scored just 1,220. This meme perfectly illustrates what's happening. The best and the brightest, that's what they're calling these 100,000 Indians coming in to work in Silicon Valley every year. Be honest, well, high-skilled labor. Be honest, cheap labor. Thank you. Maybe we should start taking a closer look into how Vivek actually made his hundreds of millions of dollars. Perhaps there is some truth to him pumping and dumping a bogus Alzheimer's drug and then cashing out the stock or doing a rug pull before the stock crashed when the test results came back and it was no good. These are the highly skilled laborers that Elon Musk and Vivek want to come and work in Silicon Valley, but it's not just Silicon.
So is Trump being swindled and bullied by these tech people? Are they like, hey, we'll line some of his pockets and you just get us all the minions? You know, them cow worshiping motherfuckers. Come over, get the motherfuckers over here. We'll pay them 60,000 versus having to pay fucking Jeffrey 186,000. And fucking Vivek will work 88 hours, and Jeffrey won't have to take the 40-hour fucking bullshit he does. This is crazy. Everybody that voted for Trump got swindled because he does not give a fuck about poor whites. But if poor whites came together and just started stomping their feet, shit will change. So I'm in favor of the pro whites. Y'all need to start coming for them.
Silicon Valley. I mean, maybe we could tolerate a few dozen H-1B visas, a few extremely intelligent specialists in their field, but we certainly don't need thousands of them. We certainly don't need 100,000 of them every single year. And when the neocons claim that these are highly skilled workers that America needs in order to remain competitive in the global economy, all you have to do is actually look at who the vast majority of these H-1B workers are and the jobs that they work, like the base salaries that they're making, $34,000, $39,000, $26,000 as cooks at major hotel chains. Many American workers actually have to train their replacements before they themselves are fired, as this New York Times piece from 2015 surprisingly admits pink slips at Disney, but first training their foreign replacements. Same thing at McDonald's. McDonald's hires foreign H-1Bs, fires 70 American accounting staff. So we need, quote, highly specialized accountants at McDonald's. These are the jobs that Americans just can't do. Jobs that Americans just won't do, they say. Of course, many American First patriots, real conservatives, paleo conservatives as opposed to neoconservatives. Go watch my previous video where I break down the differences between the two camps. Now the neocons basically hijacked and took over the Republican establishment, which then thankfully MAGA was able to wrestle away from them, but now they're trying to make a comeback. People like Michelle Malkin, who for decades now has been publishing books warning about this, and she posted this on Twitter saying that back in 2002 she published a book titled Invasion, noting that better do something about illegal immigration before it's too late. 2015 her book titled Sold Out, warning that we need to do something about the H-1B visa loopholes and the other big tech visa boondoggles before it's too late. Then in 2019, her book Open Borders, Inc., about how big tech and the Republican establishment are basically not any different than the Democrats when it comes to open borders and illegal immigration.
Take a look at this strange device that I'm holding in my hand. It's smaller than a quarter, but I believe it's going.
Of course, Tucker Carlson, being an American First patriot, warned about the H-1B legal immigration loophole back when he was on Fox News before being fired in order to try to silence him.
The rideshare company Uber has fired more than 1,000 workers since July, mostly Americans. That's about 2% of its workforce. Meanwhile, during the same period, the federal government has approved hundreds of new H-1B visas for Uber. And that means they can replace those workers with foreign scabs who will work for less.
Aside from J.D. Vance being a Silicon Valley guy who was groomed for that position by Silicon Valley titan Peter Thiel, he also is married to an Indian woman, had a traditional Indian wedding. His son is named Vivek. So it's very highly unlikely that he is going to actually admit what the H-1B visa program does. It's a loophole to flood America with foreign workers, most from India, in order to replace their jobs for lower paid foreign workers who are then basically indentured servants to the companies that hire them that they get their visas through. Sadly, it looks like Scott Adams has sided with the legal loophole open border Republican establishment, saying that MAGA is taking a page from Democrats on how to lose elections while feeling good about themselves. And then Elon Musk responded, yes, and those contemptible fools must be removed from the Republican Party root and stem, which is why he's censoring the largest critics on Twitter, on X, locking them out of their accounts, removing their check marks so that their posts don't get shown as much. They're then deboosted. And in the case of Laura Loomer, just completely demonetizing her account, canceling her ability to receive paid subscriptions. Other Republicans are completely clueless or just playing dumb, like whoever this guy is who posted that Vivek is now getting attacked by the fringe of MAGA, who are racist and anti-legal immigrants.
This is crazy. Why don't white crime get so much more intense than black on black and Latino on Latino? Because they fight with power and money. See, a lot of niggas don't have that, and a lot of Latinos don't have that individually. They have it as collectives. But some of these white motherfuckers have power and money. And when you piss off the real root of all that power and money, this is about to be fire.
Immigration of skilled workers. They're all just skilled workers, which is why most of them are being paid $30,000 a year and then just replacing average, ordinary Americans. He will handle it with class, and the majority of MAGA will rally around him. Or do I have this wrong? Oh, yes, sir, you definitely do. It's time we take the gloves off now that we won the election. In fact, we must take them off and go after the rhinos, the neocons, and the America Last Republicans in the Republican establishment who just don't get it. It's time we put a gigantic no vacancy sign outside of the borders. No vacancy for illegal aliens. No vacancy for the hundreds of thousands of non-American citizens who the Republican establishment want to replace American workers through the loophole of the H-1B visa. I'm Mark Dice. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel for new here. And be sure to check out my book, The War on Conservatives, for all kinds of reasons, including the breakdown of the difference between paleo-conservatives, real conservatives, and the neocons. So head on over to Amazon.com or click the link in the description below and check it out.
Did you know that one commercial real estate deal can completely change your life? Unlike other investments, all
right, I talked to you earlier about how there is this intra-MAGA civil war that has brewed involving Elon Musk, centered around H-1B visas. Now, Donald Trump took his sweet time, not exactly courageously coming out in favor or against of one position or the other. But Donald Trump has indeed decided to side with Elon Musk over many of the wishes of MAGA influencers on this particular issue. The problem? Trump doesn't even understand what's going on with these visas, and we're going to get to that in a moment. This all centers around a New York Post written interview with Donald Trump. In this interview, Donald Trump takes the side of Elon Musk, where he says, quote, "I've always liked the visas. I have always been in favor of the visas. That's why we have them," referring to the H-1B program, which lets companies hire foreign workers in specialty occupations. Then Trump goes on to say, and with Trump, he's always confused about something. Trump says, "I have many H-1B visas on my properties. I've been a believer in H-1B. I have used it many times. It's a great program," says Trump, who restricted access to foreign worker visas during his first administration and has criticized it in the past. We will get to that. Trump doesn't know which visas apply to the workers at his clubs. Trump's wrong about what he is saying here. Trump doesn't have H-1B visa recipients working at his clubs, but he thinks he does. This is not only the big boy, powerful business guy who's great at business, who doesn't even realize the visa program that he utilizes for workers. He's also going to be president of the United States and making policy on immigration, and he doesn't even realize the relevance of one visa program versus another. Let me explain. The H-1B visa program is for skilled workers in specialized fields. Usually it requires at least a bachelor's degree or an equivalent. It's for jobs like software development, engineering, research, roles that demand a high level of education and specific expertise. Now, there's nothing wrong with not having that expertise, but the people Trump has working at his club are on H-2B visas. These are for non-agricultural temporary jobs. It's usually seasonal industries, hospitality, for example, like Trump's clubs, landscaping, construction. These are visas often used at resorts and clubs, ski resorts in Montana and Wyoming, for example, that during the winter bring in a bunch of workers, housekeepers, servers, groundskeepers. This is another example of Donald Trump confidently taking a position on which he has flip-flopped based on the facts, except he's got the facts wrong. H-1B is great. I use it at my clubs. No, you don't. And of course, either way, there would be a right and a wrong, or there would be an argument to be made about H-1B and what about Elon, Trump, Laura Loomer, who's right, who's wrong. But the additional layer with Trump is that Trump takes a position. In this case, it's against sort of Maga, the Maga base, which says, no, don't do this. He takes Elon's position, but he thinks these are the visas his workers are here under, and it's not. It's the H-2B. Confidently, arrogantly wrong about the facts, but Trump's not going to let that get in the way of having an opinion.
And now he turns on his poor base because they're not 400 billionaires. How does that make you feel, mad people? If you voted for Trump, how does that make you feel knowing that he does not care about you because you're not rich? Comment down below. Oh, like, comment, and subscribe.
So that's layer one. Trump doesn't even know what visas they are. Let's now go to layer two, which is that Trump, of course, has flip-flopped on this issue. So if you want to find an instance of him having a different perspective, you can. This is a classic Trump move.
One of our sponsors today is Geology, offering an array of skin, hair, and body products that are powered by facts, not fads. Geology is a 37-time award-winning personalized skincare company with over 10,000 five-star reviews because people just love the products.
Are you looking to establish your business using an address other than your home? Well, at iPostal...
Triggly Elon Musk lost it over MAGA people angry with him that he supports H-1B visas, and he started just banning the hell out of people. Ban, all over Twitter. NBC News reports, Elon Musk accused of censoring conservatives on X who disagree with
To the people that commented about Elon Musk being for what was it, freedom of speech? Yeah, you're stupid. He's not for freedom of speech. If it's against his wishes, agendas, and ideologies, he's not with freedom of speech. Are you all stupid? Are you all right? Y'all are all stupid. That's what it is. People are stupid. Blinded by money. You could easily be blinded by money and sell your ass below because a rich white person will be like, "Oh, I'm for freedom of speech." And then when you go against what he thinks is right, boom, bitch, you ain't shit, you poor bitch, because you ain't gonna be richer than me. That's how he thinks. And then you stupid suck ups want to suck his cock and blow his ass because he got money. He's for the people. He has never been for the people. He is for thyself. Stupid ass people. God, every one of y'all are stupid. Just stupid. Just so stupid. Y'all really believed in a billionaire, a real life, almost trillionaire, that he is for freedom of speech and for freedom of rights. He is not for that. How stupid are you people? Very stupid. Latinos, whites, blacks, everybody that vote in because they like fucking a businessman. Oh, y'all are all stupid. Just because you're not gonna be as rich as him ever. Stop. They could extend your life to 300 years and you ain't gonna touch the money he's touched right now. All of y'all are stupid people. And he knows that. And that's why he used that against y'all. Oh, you can trick 1,000 stupid motherfuckers easily. But sick that he tricked millions.
With him about immigration. Is that the free speech that Elon promised he would bring to Twitter when he bought it and made it X? At least 14 conservative accounts said that they had been revoked their blue verification badge, cutting them off from a variety of features. The accounts were still active, but without access to monetization. Others say that they have been banned altogether. For example, Politico reports far-right activist Laura Loomer claims she was suspended on X by Elon Musk. The provocateur said the Republican Party needs to have an honest conversation about big tech influence over MAGA. There is an anti-technocratic wing of MAGA. Laura Loomer is part of it, so are many others. They don't like the idea that technocrat, tech billionaire Elon Musk is going to show up and all of a sudden upend what they thought Trump was going to do. And so they have gone to war. But Laura Loomer says they banned me. Elon suspended me. This is a reminder about principles. The principle of free speech The principle of Twitter as a free speech platform, which I've told you is a bogus statement. If the primary impetus for a platform is free speech, it's usually one of two situations. One, it's only really about the speech that you like. And as soon as you don't like it, it's no longer about free speech. Or number two, it's about creating a venue where horrible, usually racist, sexist, xenophobic views can be exposed without consequence. Because if it weren't for one of those two things, why would you even bring this up? Platforms are platforms and they have terms of service. It's not a free speech platform, it's a platform. And people are allowed to speak unless they violate terms of service. That's the way it always works. But every time I hear this is primarily a free speech platform for people to regain the speech that's been taken from them, it's typically, just in my experience, it's typically people who are really desperate to say some of the most vile things and have no consequences whatsoever. That is what X became. I would get targeted by overt anti-Semitic threats. I'd report them. 15 minutes later, I get an email. We investigated this, David. We found it doesn't actually violate our terms and conditions. But Laura Loomer expressing that she doesn't like Elon's view on H-1B, it may well be rooted in xenophobia. That's why Laura Loomer may not like it. I don't deny that. But just saying, I don't like this perspective, and she gets suspended on the supposed free speech platform. As usual, the principle that they claim to support, free speech, even speech we don't like. And there is no bigger snowflake on this issue than Elon Musk, who is reportedly mass unverifying and even suspending, temporarily in some cases, people who have a different view than his. Free speech for some, but not for all. Free speech depending on your opinion. That's the real MAGA.
Did you know that countless commercial databases and people search sites are storing your personal information? Anyone, from an employer to a former partner, can use these platforms to get details about your online presence, your home address, phone number, email, license plate, family members, financial information, even political views. Europe has laws that offer some protection, but in the US, the data is widely accessible. Even the FBI will buy this information from companies to spy on people without a search warrant. Our sponsor, Incogni, provides a solution. It takes just seconds to sign up, and Incogni will send removal requests to all of the major.
All suits are $49 to $99. End of season sale is here. 3-piece suits $89. 2-piece $49.
In der Tat ist es so, dass Elon Musk versucht, durch seine Einlassung Einfluss auf die Bundestagswahl zu nehmen. Seine Meinung zu äußern steht ihm, wie gesagt, frei. Diese Meinung muss man jetzt nicht teilen. Ich glaube, es ist gut, grundsätzlich noch mal darauf hinzuweisen, dass hier eine Wahlempfehlung ausgesprochen wird für eine Partei, die vom Verfassungsschutz beobachtet wird, unter dem Verdacht, rechtsextremistisch zu sein und die bereits als in Teilen rechtsextremistisch erkannt worden ist.
Ollie, you're going to be busy next year. I wonder, how are the polls looking when we think about this election in Germany?
Yeah, so listen, Lizzie.
My bad, y'all. I was on the phone, y'all. Hope y'all can't read lips. But that was crazy what I was saying. Elon Musk is why China isn't worried about Trump's threat of a trade war. Elon Musk is doing literally what you think the supervillain would do. It's actually quite scary. Empire.
We just had this sort of a Bundestag officially dissolved, which really paves the way for what we expected in terms of the timeline, which is the election on February the 23rd. The president did that just a few days ago. And now when we look at that, we're looking into the polls, what we're seeing is a reflection of what we've seen in the last few weeks going into this election, which is the CDU, the CSU alliance, led by Friedrich Merz, really leading in the polls at about 31% in the last poll that we've got from INSA. But then in the second position, you have the AfD, the Alternative for Deutschland, that's holding about 20% of the vote, followed then by the SPD, Scholz's party, to sort of end up in third place, and then sort of trailing that, the Greens. What becomes interesting now is that although you had this sort of election due to instability and a coalition that really just couldn't get along, you seem to have a situation where you're obviously going to have another coalition governing in the sort of country. And the sort of difficulty that you have this time around for the mainstream parties is that the AfD, the Alternative for Deutschland, a party that the entire political establishment in Germany has boycotted, has refused to work with, is now the second party in Germany, has about 20% of the vote. And to make things even spicier, Lizzie, we have had Elon Musk, who is not content to just wade into American politics, but also into German politics, doubling down this weekend, putting out an editorial in the Welt and Sonnendag, saying that the AfD, even though it is described as a far right, represents a political realism that resonates with many Germans who feel that their concerns are ignored by the establishment. It addresses the problem of the day without the political correctness that often obscures the truth. And just to sort of put a little bit of a context as to why this sort of matters so much in Germany, the AfD, it's a very fraught issue for many Germans here. This actually led to the resignation of the newspaper's editorial head on the opinion columns because they put this out. We had Friedrich Merz, the leader of the CDU, for his part, coming out after these sort of remarks by Elon Musk, saying that I cannot remember a comparable case of interference in the election campaign of a friendly country in the history of Western democracies. And again, when you look at sort of the AfD and what they are sort of proposing, there is obviously the very hard line on immigration. That is the sort of thing that has been adopted more and more by the CDU in the mainstream. But they want to withdraw Germany from the Eurozone. They want to exit the EU. These are some of the ideas that they're sort of campaigning on. So at a moment when you have a very sort of fractured political establishment in Germany, where it's certainly going to have a coalition, when you have about a fifth of the vote going to a party that wants to leave the Eurozone, hardly sort of bodes well for the sort of EU and the European project going into 2025.
I mean, you hint at it, Ollie, but immigration, therefore, clearly going to be a theme in European politics as we head into 2025. What else is going to be on the agenda across the continent?
Yeah, so listen, Lizzie, I think that we would be remiss. I mean, it seems that everything is coming down to the budget these days because, of course, Germany and France and sort of broader Europe, growth is very, very slow. And that is making very, very difficult decisions to be made in terms of trade-offs for governments. And that is leading, as we have seen at the very core of Europe, to the collapse, yes, of the German government first, but then, the French government repeatedly. We're seeing it over and over again. They can't agree on a budget because the growth and the money is just not there. Add to that the Trump presidency, which is looming on January the 20th. What are we going to get in terms of tariffs? We sort of got a little bit of hints from that from Trump a couple of weeks ago. He really wants the Europeans to buy more oil and gas from the United States. But that bears obviously massively not just on the economy, but also the other conflicts, with whether it's in Ukraine, whether it's in Syria. You have this sort of position now where Syria is a major political issue for the Europeans because it prompted so much immigration over the last sort of decade or so. And the question is, as Trump has said, he does not want to be involved in reconstruction. He does not want to be involved in Syria. This is yet another thing for the Europeans to pick up, to say nothing of some of the other sort of strange things we've been seeing in terms of election interference in Georgia and Romania, to say nothing, Lizzie, of undersea cables being cut, it seems, every sort of week. What you need right now is a unified, strong Europe. What you have is something very, very sort of different from that. I think the hope for the Europeans is that you get some kind of decisive outcome here in Germany, where you have Germany sort of in a position really coming from strength. But as we have enumerated, there's some obstacles to that really coming to be the case.
T-Mobile's 5G network connects 100,000 Delta employees, so they...
This motherfucker really run the world. And that is so crazy. Let's see what good old Burn.
Let me take this opportunity to wish everybody a very happy holiday season and a wonderful new year. As we come to the end of 2024, it might be helpful to take a hard look at where we are as a nation and how we can best go forward. And let me be honest with you in saying that we are in an extraordinarily pivotal and volatile moment in American history. and things are moving very, very rapidly. The most important point that I want to stress today is how fast our country is evolving into an oligarchic society and into two very different Americas. On one hand, we have an America that consists of less than 1,000 billionaires, not a whole lot of people in a nation of 340 million, who have an unprecedented amount of wealth and power and have never, ever had it so good. That's one America. The other America, where the vast majority of our people live, consists of tens of millions of families who are struggling to put food on the table, pay their bills, and worry that their kids will have a lower standard of living than they do. In the first America, the uber wealthy buy $500 million yachts, $270 million mansions. They have private islands all to themselves. They got fleets of jets to take them all over the world. And occasionally they take cool trips on rocket ships that blast off to the edge of outer space. A lot of fun. They also receive the best health care money can buy, and they send their kids to the very best private schools and colleges in the world. In this America, the three wealthiest men, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg, own more wealth than the bottom half of our society. Three people own more wealth than the bottom half of our society. And their wealth is skyrocketing. Musk alone is now worth over $450 billion. And combined, these three men are now worth almost $1 trillion. In the other America, millions of Americans are struggling just to provide for the basic necessities of life. In this America, over 60% of our people live paycheck to paycheck. Millions work for starvation wages. 85 million are uninsured or underinsured. And over 60,000 die each year because they can't afford to go to a doctor on time. In other words, we are living in a nation today where a handful of billionaires have more money than they could spend in 1,000 lifetimes, while at the same time, millions are living in desperation, fear, and are struggling to survive. But let's be clear. Our country is not just experiencing an unprecedented level of income and wealth inequality. Today, the ruling elite have brought about a situation in which we now have more concentration of ownership than we have ever had before. In other words, a small number of giant corporations have enormous control over our economy in sector after sector: healthcare, agriculture, financial services, energy, transportation, you name it. A small number of giant conglomerates control what is produced and how much we as consumers pay for their products. Unbelievably, just three Wall Street firms, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, control assets of more than $22 trillion. These three Wall Street firms are the major shareholders in 95% of S&P 500 companies, exerting enormous control of the largest corporations in the world. Three Wall Street firms, unbelievable power. And that is not all in terms of what's going on today. It's not just the billionaire ownership and control over the economy and the media that should concern us. The uber rich are also buying our government. They are buying our government and undermining American democracy. Never before in our history have we seen a ruling class with so much political power. As a result of the disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision, billionaires and their super PACs can spend unlimited sums of money on political campaigns. And that is exactly what they are doing. You get one vote. They get to spend unlimited amounts of money. During the 2024 election cycle, just 150 billionaires, 150 people, spent nearly $2 billion to buy politicians who support their agenda and to defeat candidates who oppose their special interests. Billionaires who represent just 0.0005% of our population accounted for 18% of total campaign spending. My friends, that is not democracy. That is not one person, one vote. That is not what this country is supposed to stand for. In his Gettysburg Address in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln spoke about, quote, a government of the people, by the people, for the people, end quote. Well, sadly today, we have a government of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class, for the billionaire class. We are in a pivotal and unprecedented moment.
Maga is now saying that, hey, the RNC is controlled by billionaires, the DNC is controlled by billionaires, and now even our agenda is not being fucking heard or seen. This sucks. It's Washington. Yeah. This is bad. This is bad, people. This is very bad. Like, comment, and subscribe if you think I'm wrong. But yeah. Billionaires and multi-millionaires do not give a fuck about y'all. I don't know why y'all thought this, especially tech billionaires. They don't even see people as being people. They don't care about their own wives or children. They would experiment on them. Like, this is craziness, bro. We are really in an oligarch society now. What is it, almost?
I really don't want this to turn into a bun fight centered around what you think about Elon Musk and whether or not you like him as a person. This is more to do with the fact that I think we can all agree that no one person, particularly an unelected person, should have so much unbridled political power. And it does beg the question, what should global leaders be doing about it? If you've missed the headlines today, Elon Musk has caused outrage in Berlin after appearing to endorse the far-right Alternative for Deutschland. He wrote on his social media platform X, only AfD can save Germany. And Germany's health minister, Karl Lauterbach, accused Musk of election interference and called for the authorities to keep a close eye on the goings-on in X. He said it's very disturbing the way in which the platform, which I use very intensively myself, is increasingly being used to spread the political positions and goals of Mr. Musk. And this, of course, comes after speculation that he will try and donate £100 million to reform. He's also expressed enthusiastic support for Italy's Giorgia Meloni. His personal wealth, Musk, has almost doubled since Trump won the US election. It's now estimated at more than 400 billion. That's so much money. I can't even think about that amount of money, by which I mean my brain will not compute the largeness of that amount. And that, along with the fact that social media is not regulated in the same way as traditional media or other forms of media are, is giving Musk so much untrammeled power. And he's using it, and it arguably had an enormous impact on the result of the US election. And, you know, like I said, I don't want this to turn into an argument about whether or not you like Elon Musk. He could be David Bowie, you know, my favorite famous person ever. And I would still argue that it would be wrong for one person to have so much untapped power in global democracies. But as an aside, he's already proving that he's something of a loose cannon with no real idea what he's doing. He almost shut down the entire US government just days before Christmas this week by threatening Republicans to encourage them to vote against a carefully negotiated budget deal and proposing something so ludicrous by alternative to replace it that it had to ultimately be ripped up, and they went back to the original agreement. But that shows the type of character that you're dealing with here. So what should government leaders be doing about this? And do we as individuals and as consumers of social media have any power here? If so, what does that power look like? What should we be doing to save democracy? For those who are uninitiated, I saw you described in the media recently as the thorn in Elon Musk's side. Can you give us a bit of a potted history of your interactions with Mr. Musk?
Well, yes, we are, the Centre for Countering Digital Hate is a watchdog. So we look at the ways in which social media platforms behave. We look at the content that flows on their platforms and how their algorithms amplify it, but also how they enforce the rules of their platforms, which are the responsibilities that we all accept as users, and therefore are our right to expect others to abide by them too. And we wanted to see how those changed when he took over the platform. What we found was that in the week following his takeover of Twitter, which he subsequently renamed X, there was a 200% global increase in use of the N-word, the most offensive word you can use against black people on that platform. There was a massive increase in anti-Jewish,
Wait, what the fuck? Why was there such an increase? What the fuck? That South African, I know he hates black people with a burning, indignant, with a passion that you probably can't even understand. He hates, because he was like, they used to be my slaves, and now they get to roam around free? Ugh.
anti-Muslim, anti-women, anti-LGBTQ plus language on that platform. And that piece of research went on the front page of the New York Times. It was read by a lot of people, including many advertisers who thought, well, crumbs, we don't really want our ads appearing next to vile racial abuse. And so they pulled their advertising. Many members of his Trust and Safety Council actually read the article, believed it to be true, and therefore resigned. And he sued us subsequently, saying that it wasn't because we were wrong. It wasn't a defamation lawsuit. It was a lawsuit for us for having the temerity to actually do the research. Now, he sued us in California in 2023, and in 2024, early this year, we received a full vindication from the courts, who actually, unusually in the US, normally if you lose a lawsuit, you don't pay the costs for the other side. But we were awarded costs as well because they thought it was so utterly disgusting that he was trying to silence a small nonprofit through bullying through the law courts. And that's unfortunately, that has been his continuing behavior, not just with us, but with many other people as well. He's even gone so far as to sue advertisers for not advertising on his platform, which is a little bit unhinged, right?
Well, and illustrates why the people who are already getting in touch with the program to say, come on, it's just his freedom of speech. He just has influence. People have had influence for decades. Why this is a particular case. And I'm not saying that Elon Musk is the first person to donate to a political party in the hope of receiving something in return, or to use their media power to try and influence elections. But this does feel fundamentally different. I wonder how you would express that difference.
Well, of course it's different. I mean, what you've got here, we have all sorts of rules on media concentration, that we don't want to have one person that controls too much of our media. We also don't want to have foreign citizens able to influence elections. You can't take donations from them, for example. So we already know that if he donates to a party in the UK, he'd be using some sort of corporate vehicle to do so. And that's why we have rules around the financing of political parties, because we know that being able to sort of, a foreign billionaire or a foreign potentate or, an autocrat trying to influence our elections should be limited in doing so by having those rules in place. And crumbs, every single one of those rules is being broken, would be broken if, and certainly the spirit of those rules would be broken if Mr. Musk was able to influence British elections in that way. The very basis of democracy is the notion that it's the will of the people, each of our individual votes, cross by cross in boxes across our country, in village halls and in town halls, that should be listened to, not one voice sitting in Silicon Valley or in Texas deciding that he's going to treat our democracy like a plaything that he can manipulate for his own economic benefit.
Y'all thought he really was joyful. This is crazy. So crazy. Oh shit. Yeah. Trump. Trump wrong. Elon Musk is wrong as hell. It is what it is. Hope y'all have a good night. Also, like, comment, and subscribe. Share, like, comment, and subscribe. We out. Peace.